Chapter 19. She stood at the door, knocking lightly and instantly determined to wake her up. What is it? She heard Cindy groan. It's me, madam, Nanny replied. Yes? I was just wondering, madam, about your breakfast. If you'd like me to bring it in there or set it out for you by the pool. What time is it? 11 o'clock, madam, by the pool, she said after a pause. Set it in an hour. When Cindy came out of the bedroom just before noon, after showering and putting on purple striped halter top dress, Nanny was at the kitchen counter, slicing up pineapples. Almost ready, madam, she said. Good morning. Cindy nodded and went to the table by the pool. Through the window Nanny could see her, staring at the pool water, which was blue and still except for lone leaf, posing frail ripples at the center. Nanny picked up the tray and hurried outside. I'm sorry to keep you waiting, madam, she said, placing the tray on the table. Would you like anything else? Where is Mighty? He went to the water, madam, with the neighbor and the neighbor's son. He said he'd be okay with it. I gave him a sandwich and a banana. Cindy picked up a glass pitcher to pour milk into her coffee. Nanny turned around and started walking back to the kitchen. Nanny, Cindy called just as Nanny was about to re-enter the house. Madam, pull up a seat and sit right here. Nanny looked at Cindy, puzzled, but she returned and obeyed. For the next minute, Cindy took little bites of her egg white omelette, her sliced pineapple, and her blueberries. Nanny sat across from her and stared at the concrete. Thank you for helping me yesterday, Cindy began, setting her coffee mug down and dabbing her lips. She picked up her sunglasses and put them on despite the cloudiness of the sky day. Nanny watched her and smiled, a smile tightly bound by nerves and discomfort. It was nothing, madam, she said in the slow, delicate manner in which she had been training herself to speak whenever she spoke to non-American. You were a little sick, madam. I'm glad I was able to come and help you. But I wasn't sick, Cindy said. I know you know that. I only thought it's okay, Cindy said, raising her palm to silence her. You're a grown woman. There's no need to lie. I know you saw everything on the nightstand, and you didn't think I was just napping. You're smart enough to put two and two together. I could see in your eyes how scared you were. I did not say anything. I did not see anything, madam. Yes, you did. I'd rather you don't try to take me for a fool. Nanny put her hands together on her lap and began rubbing them. She moved her eyes from Cindy's face to her own widening feet, piling out her blue flip-flop and back to Cindy's face. I did not, madam. I swear I only thought you were sick. This is why I came this morning to wake you up when you did not wake up at your normal time. Cindy snickered and shook her head. I am truly sorry, very sorry, madam, Nanny continued, looking pleadingly into Cindy's eyes. I did not mean to find out anything. Cindy stirred her coffee with a silver spoon and set it down. The ocean breeze and which Nanny had enjoyed that morning was no longer relaxing. It became a nuisance as it gained force and blew her blades into her face. Deliberately, Cindy took off her sunglasses, put them on the table, and looked into Nanny's eyes. You probably looked at me. You probably look at me, she said, and think I came from a life like this. You probably think I was born into this kind of money, right? Nan did not respond. Well, I wasn't, Cindy went on. I came from a poor family, a very, very poor family. Me too, madam. Cindy shook her head. No, you don't understand, she said. Being poor for you in Africa is fine. Most of you are poor over there. The shame of it is not as bad for you. Nanny closed her eyes, nodded as if she completely understood, and agreed. Over here, it's embarrassing, humiliating, very painful. Cindy continued, looking into the distance beyond the trees. Waiting in lines with homeless people to enter food pantries, living in a poorly heated house in the winter, eating rice and spam for almost every dinner, being laughed at in school, having people treat you. Oh, could you please buy your milk for me when you come back? Milk. 어, 곧 편의점? Convenience store. 서울 milk, please. Small one. Small one. Small one. 어? 뭐라고?
원래 이 시간에 일어나서 그렇게 하고 또 자는 거야? 이 시간에? 무슨 아침에 못 일어나는 거?
Well, it's embarrassing. Waiting in lines with homeless people and living in a poorly heated house in the winter, eating rice and spam for almost every dinner, being laughed at in school, having people treat you as if you're some sort of. A long tear dropped down her right cheek. She brushed it off with her index finger. You have no idea how much I've endured. No, madam, I won't ever forget the night I told my mother I wanted shrimp and vegetable for dinner. Such a luxury. How dare I ask for it? She slapped me and sent me to bed hungry. That was a thing, a slap or a reminder that I was just a piece of shit. She cleared her throat. Nanny looked down at her hand, then Cindy's face. But I came away from all that. As you can see, I worked my way through college, got a job, my own apartment, learned how to carry myself well, and fit effortlessly in this new world, so I would never be looked down on again or seen as a piece of shit, because I know what I am. And no one can ever take away the things I've achieved for myself. It's true, madam. Cindy picked up her teaspoon, stirred her coffee again. She put down the teaspoon and looked at Nanny, whose eyes were now lowered. Why am I telling you all this, Nanny? She asked. I don't know, madam, Nanny replied. Her voice rose and loaded with fight. I'm telling you this because I want you to know where I came from and why I fight hard every day to remain here, to keep my family together, to have all this. She spread her arm and motioned toward the house and the pool and the yard. I'm telling you this, she said, her eyes fixed on Nanny's face, because I want you to never tell anyone what happened yesterday. I swear to you, madam, on my grandma's grave, that I will never tell anyone. You are a woman, Nanny, a wife, a mother like me. I'm asking you to make this promise to me, not as from an envelope to from an employee to an employer, but as from one woman to another, as from one who knows how important it is to protect our families. I swear to you, madam, I promise you, from one woman to another. Cindy laid open her right hand on the table, and then he put her in it. Thank you, Cindy said, smiling her first smile of the day and squeezing Nanny's hands. Nanny smiled back. You're a good woman. Nanny bowed her hand and nodded. Cindy released her hand. Nanny stood up and began walking back to the kitchen. By the way, Cindy said, what size clothes do you wear when you're not pregnant, that is? Nanny took a few steps back towards Cindy. Size 6, madam, she replied. That's are bigger than me, Cindy said, the smile still on her face. But I think you can make do. I have a few things I was going to send over to the thrift store. Oh, madam, yes, thank you. I take it. I know how to alter clothes. Thank you. They're real designer goods, Cindy said, crossing her leg and picking up her iPhone. Dresses and stuff. I'm not sure if it's your style, but you can have it all. Thank you, madam. I will take it all. I will make it my style. Thank you so much. I will have some things for your son too. Mighty olds, clothes and toys. You can take it all when you leave. Oh, madam, I'm so glad. I don't even know how to thank you. And reminds me of your bonus before you leave. We need some extra money to prepare for the baby. We will, madam. I will. Denise sang, placing her hand on her chest, then over her belly. Thank you so much, madam. I'm just so grateful. Cindy looked at the gleeful woman and smiled again. Nanny smiled back at her. They had found a win-win solution. 20. Leomi sat next to him in the passenger seat, sliding to the floor whenever a police car came in sight. When a white woman pointed out one morning that it was illegal for a child of Leomi's age to sit in the front seat of a car, Jan graciously replied that yes, it was. He knew. Thank you so much, madam. Father and son went to sleep together every night in their bedroom, facing a funeral parlor, sometimes to the sound of curses and scuffles among the grieving. They woke up in the morning with their bodies covered in sweat, the wick fan having brought little relief from the midsummer heat. After bathing, they ate fried ripe plantains and eggs, Jan always forcing Leomi to eat at least a whole plantain and two eggs and drink a full glass of orange juice. They dressed for the day together, donning jeans and t-shirts, Leomi always making sure he wore the same clothes as his father. Their bellies full and lunch bags packed. They walked to the subway station and hand in hand and took an uptown subway to pick up the cab in the Bronx. In the subway, they sat close to each other, Naomi's hand always in Jan's. After 4 hours of picking up and dropping off passengers, they took out their lunch. Food Danny had cooked and frozen, and ate the backseat of the car. For dinner, they went every other day to one of African restaurant on 16th Street, where they ordered a tikka with grilled lamb, their favorite meal in all the restaurant there. Sometime after they were done eating, they bought ice cream at a shop on 115th Street and walked down Michael Max Boulevard, holding hands and licking ice cream. The days were perfect for Jan, almost heavenly, and even though he missed his wife, he was happy to be alone with his son. Papa, Naomi said to him as they dined at the restaurant at Zanston to the 116th Street subway one evening. Huh? Is it true that we are going back to Cameron? Dan stopped chewing. He put down the bowl of etiquette he had in his right hand. Who told you we are going back to Cameron? He said, keeping his voice low so as not to pull attention, but widening his eyes to show Naomi how much he had aroused his anger. "No one, papa," Leomi replied, averting his eyes. "Then why are you asking me?" "Nothing, papa," he replied. "I only heard mamma saying it on the phone." "Mamma said it, huh? To who?" "I don't know, papa." "When did she say it to?" "Papa, I don't." "You don't what? Why were you listening to your mother's conversation?" The boy went mute, his small mouth covered with the white granules of atike. Beside them, the old man eating tea had paused eating to watch the father, feet planted on the table, and 7-year-old boy who appeared ready to run in terror. "We're not going back to Cameron, you hear me?" "Yes, papa." "You're never going back to Cameron, do you hear me?" "I hear you, papa. Finish your food." Back at the apartment, Jan called Nanny, and without asking question, mercilessly scolded her for exposing Naomi to their pain. "How dare you mention it in front of him? I didn't know he was listening." "You don't need to know anything, Nanny. You don't have to know who's listening to what you're saying. You only need to learn how to shut your mouth sometimes." "But what if he knows? If the immigration judge decides to send us back home, are we going to shut his eye so he doesn't know we're taking him back to Cameroon?" Dan slapped the frame of the bed and stood up, unable to believe his wife's words. "Oh, Nanny," he shouted, "is that what you think? You think we should tell our child his father might be deported? You want Naomi to know what's happening to me?" Nanny did not respond. It was the first time he had screamed at her so loudly, the first time in almost 20 years, from when they were teenagers at National Comprehensive. "Boubacar has promised us that we will be here for years, even if things don't end up the way we want them to. You know that. You know we still have many years in this country. Don't you know that?" "I know," what he said. "Then why are you going around talking as if you're leaving next month? No one knows the future. Anything can happen, you know that." Jan sat down and closed his eyes, shaking his head. For a moment he didn't know what to say to his wife. "Are you saying this because you think I will be deported?" he said. Voice was low and awful. stuttered with anguish. Anguish. Oh, Nanny, is that what you're talking to me like this? No, baby, please. Nanny said, embarrassment at the misery she was mindlessly causing him suddenly obvious in her voice. That's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying? I'm not saying anything, baby. I'm sorry. I don't even know what I was trying to say. Why are you making me feel so bad? I'm really sorry, baby. You know what is best for us. I won't talk about it when Naomi is home anymore. Just stop talking about it. There's nothing to talk about. We'll get a green card. You will, baby, Nanny responded, her voice cracking. Just that I'm so afraid sometimes, and I want to talk about it with my sister. I don't want to go back to Limbo, baby. I don't even want to imagine what is going to happen if I'm afraid to, Nanny. You think I'm not afraid? What has fear ever done for anyone? We have to be strong and protect you and me. You're right. We cannot go around worrying about what the judge is going to decide. We just have to keep living. Yes, we're doing that, aren't we? So, what's your problem then? Nothing, nothing. I will remember not to talk anymore. We will be fine. I'm sorry I angered you, baby. Please cool your temper and rest. And please let's not talk about it over the phone. You know what Bubakar said about government listening. Then went to bed that night bitter, in spite of Nanny's apologies, angry at her for recklessly exposing their child to harmful untruths, and angrier at himself for all the failure of his life. He made Leomi sleep alone in his cot that night, wanting nothing of cuddling with a child he might one day disappoint. But next morning when he awoke, Romy was at his side, his small hands on his father's belly. Jen looked at the round, sweat-covered face, and knew he had no choice but to snuggle close to his child and enjoy the rest of their father and son summer. That evening, they attended a classical music concert in San Nicolas Park and listened as a blind pianist performed a piece so sorrowful and briefly clouded and eyes. The next afternoon, eager to experience more of what a New York City summer had to offer those unable or unwilling to leave the city, he ditched the money he could be making in the Bronx and took his son for a swim at the public pool in East Harlem. Papa, show me how you and Uncle Winston used to swim at Down Beach, Naomi said, and then did, blunting the backstroke, and his cousin used to do it in the waters behind the Botanic Garden. After completing 2 laps, while a giggling Naomi watched, Jan lifted the boy and positioned his back against the water to teach him the strokes. Watching Naomi laughing and flapping his arms in the water, Jan saw, for perhaps the first time, his son not only as a child, but also a man in the making, a young man watching and learning from his father, a boy who wanted to follow in the footsteps of his father, Papa, and become a man like him, in deep position, if not in positions. That night they slept together as usual, leaving his arm around his father, and his head on Jan's chest. Never much a praying man, Jan said a lengthy prayer for his boy as they lay, that Louis would live a long, happy